2020 and 2021 were the days of work from home. And now, for many people, it's time to go back to office. And research is suggesting that lots of people, perhaps the majority, do not actually want to go back to office. So, this video is for those of you who enjoyed working from home and don't want to go back to working from office. If you're in the set who is waiting to go back to office, then this is not for you. If you're in the group where you don't want to go back to office, but your employer has actually seen a win-win opportunity when you work from home and is willing to allow you to continue working for you from home, then again, this video is not for you. But if you're in the set of people who wants to continue working from home, but your employer or your organization wants you back in office, then watch this video. So one of the things that we often do when we're torn in situations like this is that we resist and we want to continue. We want to insist working from home and we don't want to go back to office, and there's a pull and tug of war there. What I'm going to suggest here is that instead of the pull and push and tug of war that can ensue, we actually look at this as an opportunity. We look at the information that has been brought into our own awareness, if you're willing to delve into it, listen to it, and examine it as a result of this whole change in scenario of, working from home and then now being asked to come back to office. And let me explain this. Okay, and we're going to look at the information that we can uncover and the elements that we can uncover at the level of self, at the level of relationships, and at the level of work. So first, let's look at the level of self. Ask yourself, what is it in your self-care routine, in your own self routine that has changed, that you now want to hold on to, and you don't want to go back to what it was before? For example, for some of you, it might be that maybe when you were working from home, you could really eat healthy, nutritious food. You could eat home food. You could snack when you like. And you couldn't do that when you were in office. So if that's the case, what you now want to do is recognize that it's important for you to have home food, important for you to snack the kind of food that you would like to snack in the ways that you would want to. And instead of assuming that that can be done only at home, you want to start asking, how can I have this new element added to the way that I work in office? And this could involve asking your employer, for example, to set up a cafeteria or set up healthy food in the office. It could mean changing your routine at office a bit. It could mean pulling together, making arrangements to make sure that your body gets the kind of nutrition that it would like to, even when you're working in the office. So instead of just looking at the macro level where there seems to be a tussle, if you look at it instead as an opportunity to understand, oh my God, the fact that I'm resisting going back to office is actually going to point me towards certain priorities, certain things that are important to me that I don't want to compromise on. Unpack those elements and then put them see if you can integrate them into your work. Let's see how this can happen at the level of relationships. Perhaps, as an example, you really liked working from home because it allowed you to spend time with your kids or with your spouse or with your dog, your pet. And it really nurtured you to be in that space together. Now, use this as an opportunity to identify that, okay, this is what your being is craving for, and you'd like more of this. And start looking at, can you have better work-life balance? Do you need to negotiate for flexible working hours? Do you need to ask, if you have young kids, do you need to ask your employer if it's okay to take your kids to work once a week? Some employers do offer that. Once you identify the underlying need, which in this case is to, spend more time with your children, don't give up on it. Recognize that this is a priority that you hadn't given attention to earlier before work from home revealed that you enjoyed it so much. And now start, making a decision to integrate this into the way you craft and sculpt your work experience, and through that, your life itself. Let's take the third and most obvious context, your work. So what is it when you were working from home that really allowed you to thrive in aspects of your work? So for example, again, for some of you, it might be the fact that you had your own space. You could create your own schedule, except when there were meetings. You didn't have someone breathing down your shoulder, looking into your computer, seeing what you're doing, micromanaging you. So if that was the case, as an example, what you now want to ensure is that even when you go back to work, you create your boundaries. You ask for that space. You let your supervisor or you let people know you don't want to be interrupted all the time. You want to block off schedule. For example, one of the best practices that often works when people work is, if you want uninterrupted time, block a conference room or a separate place, not your open plan office if you have one, and sit there and do your creative work. You might not have done this earlier because you didn't realize that you really thrived when you had that space for yourself, not just physical space, but mental space without interruptions. Now, work from home has shown you that you like this aspect of working in this way. So take this aspect, take this element, and integrate it into the way you work in your office. So, wrapping up, instead of just resisting going back to office, why not look at this as an opportunity to investigate which parts of working from home really helped us and which parts or elements about working from office don't work for us, and use this extra information, this awareness that we've discovered about the ways in which we like to be, relate to others and work, and relationships can be with your colleagues as well, and then craft and sculpt a new way of working and living for ourselves. And this could be in the workplace. Now, if after identifying and putting together all these elements, you realize that there's no way this is going to work in my current workplace, then it's time maybe to take this information and use it as a trigger to start looking for another place to work or another way and place to work. So I hope you enjoyed that, and wishing those of you who have to go back to office the very best as you make this transition from working from home into working to office, work for you so that you can actually go back to living and working in a more conscious, enlightened, and happier way, because now you've discovered your own priorities in a better fashion.